It just didn't happen. The book of Jubilees says, and let me tell you where, Brother Ward. See if I wrote it. 29. Book of, it is Jubilees, right? Yeah. Jubilees, chapter 29. What do you call it? 26. Yaakov is leaving from Shechem, from Haran, and he's going to Gilead. That is 350 miles apart.
I'm trapped.
350 miles from Haran to Gilead. That's the way it goes. Okay. There's no way Laban and his brothers, or his sons, or his kinfolk, whoever, got there in 7 days. Okay. It was already 3 days before Laban even found out that Yaakov and the family had left. They didn't travel 350 miles in 7 days. They are on foot, or maybe camel, or what have you. We have to consider Yaakov had all of the flocks we just heard that he had gotten. So he had all of the flocks, the wives, the concubine, the children, and everything they owned. So they were not moving at a fast pace. It generally says, by foot, a caravan, that's what they would consider that. A caravan of people would do about maybe 12 miles a day. Because you've got to attend to the flock, you got to water them, you've got to feed them, you got to take care of the children. I mean, you just don't travel that fast. Okay. And Yaakov didn't know that Laban was after him. So it's not like he was running. When they left Egypt, they was running. So they were traveling. But Yaakov didn't know Laban was after him, so he had no reason to, run away. Okay. In the book of Jubilees, chapter 29, and let me just read from verse 1. And it came to pass, when Rachel had borne Joseph, that Laban went to shear his sheep, for they were distant from him a 3 days' journey. And Yaakov saw that Laban was going to shear his sheep. Yaakov called Leah and Rachel, and spake kindly unto them, that they should come with him to the land of Canaan. For he told them how he had seen everything in a dream, even all that he had spoken unto him, and he should return to his father's house. And they said, to every place wherever you go, we will go with you. And Yaakov blessed the Elohim of Isaac his father, and the Elohim of Avram his father's father. And he arose and mounted his wives and his children, took all his possessions, and crossed the river, and came to the land of Gilead. And Yaakov hid his intentions from Laban, and told him not. And in the 7th year of the 4th week, Yaakov turned his face toward Gilead in the 1st month, on the 21st day thereof. What feast day is that? 1st month, 21st day. Is what? Last day of unleavened bread. That's when he determined, I'm going to Gilead. And Laban pursued after him, and overtook Yaakov in the mountain of Gilead in the 3rd month, on the 13th day thereof. He did not travel 350 miles in 7 days. On the 3rd month, the 13th day thereof.
2 months later.
It's like 54 days. Okay. He says, and Ahiah did not suffer him to injure Yaakov, for he appeared to him, Laban, in a dream by night. And Laban spake to Yaakov, and on the 15th of those days, Yaakov made a feast unto Laban. What feast was that?
Shabbat.
Shabbat. It was Shabbat. Remember when I said the other night how we should be preparing, we should be progressing, we should be running through this camp and preparing to receive from the Most High. Yaakov was moving throughout this camp and preparing to be in the presence of the Most High, or in the place that the Most High instructed him to go. So it wasn't 7 days that it says over here, Laban caught up with him in 7 days. He may have caught up with him in 7 days from the time he got to Gilead. Laban got to Gilead. 7 days later, he caught up with Yaakov, because Yaakov had camped at Gilead. It's not like he had just gotten there, he was passing through. He was camped there. So he could have been camped there for, we don't know how many days. And Laban camped in the Mount Gilead as well. So perhaps he camped there for 7 days and caught up with Yaakov. But he certainly did not leave Haran and reach Gilead in 7 days. That just didn't happen. It didn't happen. And so it says on the 15th day. Why? Because that is the day of oaths. Shabbat is the day that you make compacts, that you make treaties. Even in this case, he's making it with the pagan. But that's the day that you make agreements. What I do? I did like that. Am I that strong? Okay, so Shabbat, that he makes this agreement with Laban. In the, oh no, I don't want to, sorry. That's all I want to say. Okay. Okay. That all right? That's all I want to say.
Oh, that's good.
All right, well, we're going to run through the rest of this real quick.
Run through.
Because she already gave us quite a bit
Yeah.
to finish up everything else.
You get any more?
You need 2 of these.
Huh?
You need 2 of those.
Could have stayed right here.
You can finish the rest of the chapter.
What you wanted me to tell? You sent it.
Because I know you can. Okay.
Why would
We just want to read just a couple more things and then we'll be done. Now, after Laban caught up with Yaakov, I want us to read just that little part, what he said. And we're going to go down to verses 29. In the upper verses is when he told him, he said, why didn't you come to me and tell me you were going to leave? I would have sent you away with a big feast. Right.
Exactly.
You really think he would have had a feast, all right? He would have said, the witch is dead, the witch is dead. He said, so I could have sent you and my children away with a big feast. But in verse 29 he says, is it not in my power, in my hand, to do you hurt? But the Elohim of your father spake unto me yesterday night, saying, take heed and speak not to Jacob either good or bad. And now, thou would need be gone, because you are so longest after your father's house, and yet wherefore have you stolen my mighty ones? Listen to what Jacob said. And Jacob answered Laban, because he was afraid, and said, peradventure you would take by force my daughters from me. With whosoever you find it, your mighty ones, let him not live before our brethren. Discern thou what is in with me, and take it. For Jacob knew not that Rachel had stolen them. But what did he say? Whosoever take it,
That remain alive.
Shall die.
what does Proverbs say? Death and life is in the power of the tongue. So Laban went into Jacob's tent and Leah's tent, and the 2 maidservants' tent, but he found them not. Then he went out of Leah's tent and entered into Rachel's tent. Now Rachel had taken the images and put them in the camel's furniture and sat upon them, and Laban searched all the tent, but found not. And she said to her father, let it not displease my master, that I cannot rise up before you, for the custom of woman is upon me. And he searched, but found not the images. That's pretty self-explanatory. So now, and now, all the stuff he did not find. And then they're going to make, we're going to jump a little bit further, and they're going to make this treaty. And this pact, this agreement that they make, we know was made at Shabbat, the time of agreement. I want us to hear how it's said. Go over now to verses 49. Dr. Scott, read it for me, please.
And I'll use 48. And Laban said, these heaps is a witness between you and...
I'll tell you what, stop on this. Stop on verse 44.
Okay. And it says, come now, let us make a covenant, a compact, an agreement, you and I, and let it be a witness between you and me. So Jacob took a stone, set it up as a pillar, and Jacob said to his kinfolk, gather stones, and they took stones, and they made heaps, and they ate there by the heap. And then Laban called the place Jejer Sahakadatu, but Jacob called it Gilead.
And that means witness.
With,
Right? Now you notice that they have 2 different terms.
right?
This one called it this one called it, but it means the same thing. Now, isn't it interesting that they put stones upon a heap? You think this was a good practice?
No.
And they did eat. What do you think they were eating? Veggies?
I think they were eating
I don't think Laban was.
because in the Tanakh earlier when Jacob is going through and telling him all that he did, and Yaakov says to him, these 20 years I've spent in your service. Your ewes and she-goats never miscarried, nor did I feast on rams from your flock. And so I think, this is my personal thing, when Yaakov set this stone up, I don't think he should have set up a stone, but I don't think he sacrificed on it. I think he would have did the same thing he did before, poured oil, and,
Well, you got to remember now, it's Laban is the one who is bringing this contract together. Not Yaakov. Yaakov is not the one who is invoking this agreement between them. It's Laban that is saying, let this stone be a witness between you and me. And this is what we're going to do. And further on,
Yaakov said Jacob took a stone and set it up as a pillar.
yes, but in 44 it says, Laban said,
No, I got that.
let us make a covenant.
Let me read something which is going to be different from mine. Now you do have primarily the daddy's E in that. But when it gets to that, let us make it 46. Now, Jay says Jacob did this. Jacob said to his men, gather stones. They did so, built an altar, and they ate together at the thing. And that meant a witness between us and they go down. But then when Laban comes into it, and it says, then Laban said at 51, I'm going to set up a witness, and it shall not pass, and you won't attack me. And then he said, the God of Abraham serve. And then he says, Jacob swore to the honor of his father, then killing a victim for sacrifice on the hill, Jacob called his kinsmen to the meal.